All right, let's do this one last time. My name is Peter Parker, and for 10 years, I've been the one and only Spider-Man. I'm pretty sure you know the rest.
With great power comes great responsibility.
I saved a bunch of people, fell in love, saved the city, and I did this. We don't really talk about this.
This is the moment I knew Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was going to be magical. And it wasn't even a minute into the movie. Hey nerds, let's do this one more time. I'm Darren Simple, and I love Spidey. My love for Spider-Man, don't forget the hyphen.
Really sorry to interrupt, but see, I can tell you're saying it without the hyphen, and it bothers me.
And his secret identity, Peter Parker, has always been great. However, it only gets stronger as I grew with Spidey through reading his comics, watching his cartoon in the 90s, and then the Spidey boom became global with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. A live-action Spider-Man? Then he was followed by Andrew Garfield's Spidey. And then finally he was reintroduced into the MCU with Tom Holland in the title role. Spidey fans were eating good because he's the most relatable.
My new Lego Death Star.
What? So lame. No way, that's awesome. How many pieces?
He's the most funny.
All right, that's enough. All right, Mike. Yeah. Big John.
His action is top notch. And the underrated quality of Spider-Man is he's an absolute kick you in your plums.
My plums.
Tragic character. If you've got a soul, you'll be crying as a fan. And that only works as a character quality if everything else for the character works. And of course it does. It's why Spidey is the greatest hero of all time.
I knew you'd come back.
Yeah, thanks for stepping up for me. You're the bravest kid I've ever seen. I'm gonna take care of this jerk. You go take care of your mom, okay?
Now there's this new guy on the block we have to talk about, Miles Morales. And when it's all said and done, he may end up having the best Spider-Man trilogy. On this episode of the Nerd Rundown Presents, viewing the highly anticipated sequel to the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, aptly named Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Presents Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse movie review. I'm Darren Stemple, and with me is one of the biggest nerds I know, Big Morg 3000.
Howdy, everybody.
Okay, Woody. Welcome, nerds, to something we've been very excited to talk more about since we've seen the movie, but also just, I mean, we've waited 5 years for the sequel to this incredible movie.
Too long.
Or to the Into the Spider-Verse. What do you think, Mark?
So, overall thought, not getting into anything, I
wait, real quick. I want to say this is going to be a full-on spoiler show. So if you haven't seen it, get out. Or if you're a masochist and you want to know everything, stay.
That's up to you. No judgment here, but spoilers.
That's right.
Again, spoilers. Okay,
we're good.
So yeah, overall, this movie is a net positive to me.
Okay.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now I do have a really, really, really big gripe and issue with the way they ended it.
Okay.
Well, I'll wait. I don't want to quite.
We'll get there
right away. But no, overall, I did thoroughly enjoy the movie.
Yeah,
I was happy. Definitely a great movie to see in theater.
Okay,
that's for sure.
I mean, Into the Spider-Verse is like an 11.
That's
How you gonna get? How you gonna get? Yeah, how you gonna get an 11 again? But you got like a 9.5, closer to a 10. Like it's a pretty dang good movie.
Yeah.
I I just think that it was new and fresh to us the first time around, and maybe that's why it's a little bit more magical, but also it's a little shorter, so the pacing felt a little brisk, you know, a little faster in the first one. So minor gripes. Like Across the Spider-Verse is something it's a movie that I'm going to be watching a lot in my life.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So honestly, it's a big love letter to Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. I'll say this does what I wanted Multiverse of Madness to do.
Yeah. Okay.
A good multiverse. You know, like the way it was done.
Yeah.
With the camera, everything, you know, we'll get more into it, but it did a fantastic job with that.
I get it. And actually, there's a multiverse movie that I'll bring up later that I think it could be interchangeable with, or there's just a fun little thing with it. So
Did it win a lot of awards?
it's not even Doctor Strange. It's actually a couple multiverse. There's some tie-ins to a couple different multiverse movies. So my first reaction, I want to go see it again in theaters. Like I would go see it in theaters again. It's first of all, it's just a big movie. It's hard to take it all in. We've only seen it one time. I would go back in a heartbeat to watch it again, especially with not a whole lot in the theater that excites me over the next, say, month till Mission Impossible. So, same.
No.
Would you go back again and watch it?
I would. I don't think I'd go back again and watch this.
Really?
Yeah, I think one was enough, and my reason being, like, I'll wait till it comes out.
Sure.
Like, I'm not going to go back to the theater and watch it, and it's because of my gripe that I have with it that I don't need to go see it in theater again.
Okay. Well, yeah, the twist has been ruined. Let's talk about that twist real quick.
Yeah. So.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
The ending, and I won't get. I don't know how much detail you want, but
I want all the detail.
So my big gripe is I feel like they didn't market this correctly to us or advertise it correctly. At the very end, it starts building up. You see this culmination of something's about to go down. Miles has been captured, and he's face to face with another Miles. That's the Prowler.
Yeah.
You see him charging up, getting ready to like burst the blocks. You see Gwen gathering the old team from the first movie to go help Miles.
Okay.
You see 99s on the hunt, you know, to go get him. And it's all culminating, and you're like, what's it gonna? Done. Says to be continued. So, a good comparison. I was watching, and shout out to Night's Watch. They brought up, picture you're watching A New Hope.
Okay.
First time. Star Wars A New Hope.
Yep, got it in my mind right now.
We're all in the hangar. We're all gearing up to get in the X-Wings because we're about to go attack the Death Star. Okay. We're having our little words of motivation, and stop. And it goes, to be continued. Doesn't that upset you a little bit?
I mean, that's a hard comparison because I feel like it's not apples to apples.
But like, picture any movie where it's getting to that height and there's no indication that it's stopping.
Well, I mean, does part one not like make you think that there's going to be a cliffhanger?
But they didn't advertise it as a part one. That's what I mean. If they said Across the Spider-Verse part one or whatever, then you know you're going into it is this isn't going to be a complete story here. You know it's going to go to something else. Like, for example, Infinity War. Yeah. With Infinity War, we knew that they were going to do an Endgame. They announced, like, it's two movies. Yeah, it wasn't part one, part two. Yeah. But they announced right off the bat, we're ending it with two movies. But even Infinity War, when it ended, it still felt like a conclusion. Yeah. Like it lost. Everybody died.
I see what you're saying. I mean? I think that's a much better analogy.
Yeah, whereas this is almost like they were like, shit, the movie's too long. Let's just stop it right now. Just hard cut, and then we'll share the rest later. Fair. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it feels like.
Fair. That's fair. Very, very fair. Maybe just because I have to stay connected through everything for the show is, I knew there was, maybe they didn't market it as part one and part two, but I knew it was a part two, so I was expecting a cliffhanger.
Okay. See, I think the general audience is.
Yeah.
You know, they're going into like, here's the sequel, and then it's going to go, oh shit, this is a part one, part two.
Well, and somebody else at work today asked me, like, what'd you think? And I was like, yeah, that was pretty cool. And they're like, I didn't know there was going to be a cliffhanger. I'm like, people not know this, but I think you're right. And maybe it's just in my head that it was part 1 and part 2. I don't know.
And that's the thing, because like even if they just went back and I don't know, maybe have him fight the Spot again and like lose the fight, because then at least there's some sort of a little conclusion, and it's going to keep continuing, but at least like you walk out like, okay, there was an ending to it. Yeah. Can't wait for them. Like I'm still excited for the next one. Don't get me wrong, and I still like the movie, but it's like it's just frustrating. Whereas like my son watched it and he was like, it's over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he was upset.
That would be totally, it'd be a totally different experience if you weren't expecting a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
And they've moved these dates around so much. We talked over the weekend. Morgan calls me and he's like, I have to talk to somebody about this. I was like, okay, don't give anything away. He's like, what I'm going to give away doesn't give anything away. I'm like, okay. And then he, proceeds to give away the whole entire ending. No, I'm joking. He's like,
I informed you.
He's like, he's like, there's a to be continued. And I'm like, okay. Maybe I just need to see it. I don't know. I wasn't really understand, but now I get it. I get it. I get it. And that would totally change the experience. So, bad on Sony and their marketing. Because honestly,
like I'd like to see
when
them
you
change
called
the
me,
marketing.
we couldn't find how many times did we Google release date for this?
I couldn't find it at all for the next one.
Yeah, which it's now I feel like I have found it, and it's in March of next year, I think. I'll look it up throughout the show.
Yeah, I know it's less than a year away. Which too, because if they could have advertised like, hey, a part 1, like Infinity War did, where they said, hey, it's going to be released within a year.
Yeah.
Like, do that. Like, hey, it's a part 1, part 2. It's going to be released within a year of each other.
Yep.
And I don't think it would have hurt ticket sales or anything. I think people would have been like, okay.
I mean, I don't know how you end this movie without a cliffhanger, though.
Right. Like, yeah, I mean, there's got to be a cliffhanger, but I just wanted like a story ending
and maybe
a cliffhanger.
Well, maybe once Beyond comes out, we'll have some hindsight.
Yeah.
And it'll
it'll definitely be like
it'll bring some context to why they did that. I don't know.
When Beyond the Spider-Verse comes out, like I'm gonna watch Across the Spider-Verse and then go watch just to get that like more fluid. Like, okay, I just watched it. Now let's go pick right up.
Completely. And speaking of Beyond, I brought this up in the intro that Miles Morales probably is going to have the best trilogy right now. I think so. Tommy Holland owns that, as Garfield never got it, and then Tobey Maguire, his third one was left a lot to be desired. And then Tom Holland, great trilogy, not a miss. Oh, yeah. And so to be better than that with a movie like No Way Home, holy crap, that's saying something. So Beyond could be utter trash. I mean, we went into Spider-Man 3 with a lot of high hopes, so you never they could fumble the bag here with the third one.
I have more confidence in this though.
Yeah, I do too, because just everything about it's been so good. And this leads me to something I brought up on the rundown. It could be considered a hot take, but if you look at things realistically, Miles Morales might be more popular in 10 years. In 10 years, he's going to be the more popular Spider-Man. If you look at, I know, it's okay.
Do you hear that? I think I hear Brett screaming. Do you hear that?
I'm down.
I can hear Brett screaming.
If you look at how, at minimum, culturally, be more relevant.
Yeah. He's eventually going to be in MCU. There's no way around that.
Oh, and when it's over when he gets a live action, because you look at what over the last 5 years, you look at video games. Now, obviously, the Peter Parker Spider-Man PS4 is like the best Spider-Man story,
which is in this movie.
Which he is in this movie. In that Miles is introduced in that, and then he gets his own game. He gets, you get these Spider-Verse movies, the game. Spider-Man 2 is coming out later this year, the video game. And Miles will have probably just as big of a story in that. So he's becoming more relevant. Kids are growing up with two Spider-Men. Two Spider-Mans? Two Spider-Mans? Two Spideys.
Yeah.
Two Spideys.
Two Spideys.
And, the stories being told right now through different mediums. Miles could be more popular in 10 years.
It just depends, because like my son, for example, loves Miles, but he still is like, no, Peter Parker's like the Spider-Man. You know,
Yeah,
he's like he recognizes.
It's not right now
like,
that he's more popular.
Yeah, but you can see, it'll come, especially when he's in the MCU. That it's done because he'll be Spider-Man.
Peter will always be my Spidey.
Oh yeah.
But you know what, Miles in this movie and Into the Spider-Verse, he's a guy you can easily root for.
Oh,
like he's a very, 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 very likable. You could even say lovable character. In the first one, he's got this like cute innocence.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, he's got this like cute teenager angst, you know, and stuff that he's going through. This is why I said it again in the intro. He's the most relatable hero, and when I say he, I mean Spider-Man. And they've done a really great job with Miles, making him relate. You know,
just that fighting the Spot, but he's also got to get to school for the meeting, and you know, like it's classic Spider-Man stuff.
Totally in love with Gwen. You know, we've all been there. Boys have been there. We'll start there or stop there, and we'll move to the story. So the story, here's the synopsis. After reuniting with Gwen Stacy, Brooklyn's full-time friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is catapulted across the multiverse, where he encounters a team of spider people charged with protecting its very existence. However, when the heroes clash on how to handle a new threat, Miles finds himself pitted against the other spiders. He must soon redefine what it means to be a hero so he can save the people he loves most. I need like the Ace Ventura where he's like,
I thought you'd never ask.
He just starts talking.
He just starts talking.
I'm like out of breath talking. That's how out of shape I am. If you compare the plot or the story of this one to Into the Spider-Verse, who gets the win? I'm gonna say Into the Spider-Verse had a better story.
Me too, but I also think it's hard to fully compare because I think we need to see the next one.
That's a very
to really
good point.
Get the full plot, you know what I mean?
Because it's an incomplete movie. Is that what you're saying?
Because it's an incomplete movie. It's like you can't really judge it quite yet because like now, the first one's better, but then when this comes out in the plot, you might go, "Oh,
sure,
shit, that was phenomenal."
These movies get me emotional just because it makes me feel all the emotions. I feel like there was more heartbreak in the first one, and you know, Spidey has to be a bit of a tragic character.
I think so too.
We didn't get that really until the big twist. You know, where he got transported. I think I brought that up earlier, and I didn't get to it, but yeah, he went through that machine, and the machine sent him to the other universe. Great twist.
First of all,
that's some bad Spidey luck right there.
Yeah, that machine's terrifying. Terrifying.
Seriously, terrifying.
It wraps you up to transport you to another. I was like, oh my god, that's so
terrifying.
Scary.
It even had like. We'll talk about the sounds and the visuals later, but man, the audio mixing on the machines in these movies, the collider from the first one, this one from Oscar Isaac's 2099 Spidey. Really great, really great sound mixing, audio mixing.
Yeah, and I'll say in this movie, it's weird because they're kind of like setting up that 2099's like the bad guy.
It does feel like I would say he's more of an antagonist.
Yeah. Yeah, whereas we know the Spot is the bad guy. Which
he's the bad guy.
I did like how they connected him as the bagel guy, the one that got hit in the head with the bagel. Which does this come into your other multiverse movie?
This is a great Easter egg for multiverse movies, and the multiverse movie to be made in the last year was Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
If nothing matters, then all the pain and guilt you feel for making nothing of your life goes away. Sucked into a bagel.
A lot of bagels in that movie, so...
Yeah, bagels are important in that movie.
Yeah, maybe bagels are just the key to the multiverse, and we are looking at bagels all wrong.
Maybe that's what the Dial of Destiny is. A bagel.
They think it's a dial.
Movie. Yeah.
But it's a bagel.
And they're on the search for Philadelphia cream cheese.
And then that's how we get the Harrison Ford Multiverse movie.
And it's just the classic fixed points that we see in multiverses. They call it canon in this, which I like that they use that because I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
Everybody always bitches about the canon. So the canon.
Right.
And the canon are the fixed points that you can't change. And 2099's essentially, he's the one that tries to fix this and make sure that stuff doesn't change it, so everything doesn't fall apart. So it's classic. And the big one that kind of connects all Spider-Man is Captain Stacy.
Yeah.
It's always there's always a police captain that dies.
Yep.
That Peter or Spider-Man knows.
Yeah, I think I spoke too soon and I said he didn't really have any tragedy until he got thrown into a different universe later in the movie.
But this is where it starts.
This is like that. Like, that's the ultimate Spider-Man luck right there. Like,
it is. Because that's the twist, is his father was recently named captain and he'd be taking the position in 2 days.
Yeah.
And his father would have to die because that's a canon point. So that's where it's like, well, wait a minute. You can't, Miles is like, I can't just let that happen.
So a couple questions. Number one, do you think he saves his dad in Beyond? Is this how he shows he's a different Spidey?
I think he will, but I hope the writers are ballsy and he doesn't.
Okay.
Because that would make him more Spider-Man to me.
I 1000% agree with that. I know that's like terrible podcasting, but I'm not gonna lie. Like, that's a great point.
I know, it's like, it sucks, but like, because he had Aaron die, so I could see that somehow that's how they're gonna work it in, that it's okay that his dad doesn't die because his uncle Aaron died instead.
Right.
But I hope they don't do that, because I think he needs.
He clearly has a stronger connection with his dad.
Exactly.
I mean, or they just throw us for another loop and then they kill his mom. Who knows?
They kill everybody.
And he's like, oh my God, I saved my dad, but my mom died. Actually,
wrong loop. They kill mom and dad.
I might push my chips in on that.
Who do you think they'll go the mom route?
Yeah. What's her name?
Is it Maria?
Morales? Ms. Morales?
Well, yeah, Ms. Morales.
She's a baddie, though.
Oh, yeah, she's awesome.
She's awesome.
Yeah, I like her.
Mita, I love that. I love when she snaps and it shows the Puerto Rican flag. Like, that's like, it's those small things that make these movies so magical. And that
what was it? The Pocket Space?
Oh, Hammer Space.
Was it? Hammer Space.
Hammer Space, which is such a great callback to.
Yeah.
I am Peter Porker.
And he pulls out the hammer, and they do the note like comics would do when they would explain a little, like, what is that hammer space?
Yes.
It's just that invisible area where cartoon people carry infinite amounts of stuff.
It's amazing. Like, it's those little things that make this movie magical. Like, just like that. Main character. Okay, we've got like 4 of the main characters, and yes, I would say Miles' parents are main characters, but we're not going to talk about them. We're going to talk about Miles, Gwen, Peter B. Parker, and then 2099 Spider-Man. I think he's just kind of given 99 as the nickname. Ben Reilly, Andy Samberg. I was like, how is this going to work? Freaking nailed that. That was so perfect.
That was so good.
Okay, so let's start with Miles. They aged him up.
The Spot?
Oh, I see. I was trying to figure out earlier. I was like, there's somebody. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about the Spider people first, and then we'll move to the Spot. Starting with Miles, they aged him up for this movie. I thought his design was great. He looked great. I loved how he goes through things that we relate to. And they put him in these positions where it's like, okay, I totally feel what Spidey's feeling in this moment.
Right.
And the voice actor who plays Miles, basically the only guy who isn't a well-known face, I would say. His name is well-known because he voiced Miles in the first one, but Shameik Moore voices Miles, and he's like a grown-ass man. And he makes Miles sound like a kid still, because he's 15, I think, right?
Yeah, because because I don't think he can.
He was 14 in the first one. Now and this is a year later. So he does an incredible job making it sound believable that he's a kid on the other side of the art, right? What did you think of Shameik Moore's performance as Miles?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, he was great in the first one, performed just as well, if not better. I mean, he's fantastic. He is Miles now, forever. And like Kevin Conroy's Batman, he's now Miles to me.
Who's the voice of Miles in the video game? It's a different voice, though, for sure. Oh, maybe I'll look that up here after this next question. Gwen, voiced by Haley Steinfeld.
Hey, Bishop.
Do you think she outshined Miles?
I don't supposed to say yes, but I feel like she had more. No, I'd say they're on par.
On par. Okay.
Yeah, because Miles really picked up more towards the end, once he started finding everything out.
Yeah.
And then he also has that talk with his mom where he's revealing himself. I thought that was good. But Gwen also had a lot of emotional stuff in this as well.
So what I was going to say is it starts from her point of view.
Yeah. We get more of her, and I loved her world, how it was like watercolors, like it was neat how they did it, and how it would
when she hugs her
with
dad,
her emotions. Yeah. She hugs her dad, and the world, it gets like brighter. Like, I loved how it changed with her emotions. She was in the
incredible
band.
Visual
She's in the comics, the Mary Janes. That's in the comics.
Yes. Yes. And I mean, it's the best example of visual storytelling. I remember one time I was talking about cues that the director or whomever makes the decision that in this scene they just make it all blue in the background and you don't really notice it, but it's there to like your mind processes it and you understand it, but you're not like, oh, why is everything in this room blue?
Exactly.
For them to be able to do this in animation like this, it's so cool. And her action, I mean,
she's awesome.
She was a rock star, and I loved it when 2099 we'll just call him Miguel O'Hara because that's his name.
Yeah.
Or we can call him 99. That might be easier.
I think 99 sounds cooler.
Yeah, it does actually sound cooler. So Spider-Woman, voiced by Issa Rae, and Miguel O'Hara 99 show up. She's all like in awe of other spider people. I just love the love and respect they all have for each other. But talk about that spider luck. She's only got her dad. She can't talk to her dad about who she is. It's more like great job bringing tragedy to each character, right?
Yeah, that version of Vulture was pretty cool.
Which one?
The Vulture, the Renaissance Vulture they were fighting.
That was really cool.
That was pretty damn cool.
Also voiced by Yorma Taccone, or Taccone, I think is his name. The other third of the Lonely Island, Andy Samberg being.
Yeah.
Najee Jeter, that's who voices Miles in the video game. He does a great job. He
does.
He's a voice actor. I haven't seen him in much, but he does a great job with Miles' voice, and he looks like he could be a young kid. So Shameik Moore changing up his voice to sound like a young kid is really, really impressive.
Yeah.
All right, and then the other main Spider-Man in the movie, Peter B. Parker, voiced by Jake Johnson. Of course, he's great, right?
Oh yeah.
He was he was the loseriest, if that's a word, loseriest of the Spider-Man, and it was more to show the dichotomy between the greatest Peter Parker, which was Chris Pine's Peter Parker, and then Jake Johnson's the worst Peter Parker, and then the growth he had in that movie didn't have a lot to do in this movie, and that was really a bit unfortunate, right?
Yeah.
Hope it's like a Cap in Infinity War versus Endgame kind of situation. He's got a better role.
I was happy that he had his child. He has a family. Like things are going well for him. I was a little disappointed in how on board he was with the canon thing of like, yeah, we just got to let certain people die, because I just feel like our Peter Parker would just never accept that. You know what I mean? Like
totally. And you know
try
what?
To find a way.
I think that it's funny you brought that up. This is actually one of my small complaints about the movie. because I have a hard time believing that. I think they said there was 290 Spider-Man in that room. All 290 are going along with that, like, you know.
Yeah, because that's not Peter. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
you know, he's gonna do whatever he can to always fight for life. Like,
yeah. That's something I was going to bring up earlier and I forgot, so I'm glad that
and it's something that could come up in the next one. I mean, he could say like, no, I do, like, you're on, like, they could find something else where he did something to help Miles, because he's like, no, I agree with you. Like,
I mean, he does join Gwen, you know, at the end.
Right.
So
at the end.
Maybe he's already having a change of heart.
So does Spider Baby.
Yeah. Mayday. All right, so 99. What'd you think of Miguel O'Hara's live, or not necessarily live action debut, but pretty much live action debut?
Awesome. Now, I noticed his Nueva York is much more dystopian, or like utopian.
Yeah, kind of like Blade Runner-y.
Yeah, more happy. Whereas, like, I thought in the comics it was much more dirty and grungy. Like,
yeah, it's supposed to be more Blade Runner-y.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's now it's more like
happy and sunny.
Yeah, almost kind of like where the Doctor Strange movie of the year group, the Illuminati, the world, the universe they were in.
Like
remember that was kind of like
much more like nice. So
utopian dystopia. Is that the right phrase? I don't know. I'm not smart enough.
I feel like utopian is like happy. Dystopia is like a apocalyptic nightmare.
That's their
utopia.
Yeah, I don't know. They might be connected.
But it looked nice. It looked happy.
Sure.
Instead of like,
what?
Yes.
But I liked him. I thought he was good.
He was great.
I'm on board with his plan. I get it. Like, hey, if these canon things don't happen, it could literally destroy the world or the whole universe.
That one universe, not every universe.
But I do have some questions about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So the canon moments that can change. Captain Stacy dying, the police chief. You know, we even see Andrew Garfield, which was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, seeing that, the live action stuff. So they talk about how these things happen. Like, Miguel went into that world where a version of himself died so he could have a family.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man 99, you know, and the world collapsed. Because
much like what you see in Multiverse of Madness.
Exactly. Yeah, but we find out in this movie, Miles wasn't supposed to be Spider-Man.
Mm.
His spider got transported from another Earth to theirs, and it bit him when it was supposed to bite, you know, a Spider-Man on that. A person. It was
supposed to bite the
Peter
Miles.
Parker.
It was supposed to be. No, it was supposed to. It's supposed to bite the Miles that became the Prowler.
Okay, so it's supposed to bite the Miles of that world.
There's art somewhere in the movie that shows the spider next to Miles. So my question
is, shouldn't that like cause Miles' world to collapse because it completely you know what I mean? Like,
well, I guess that's saying that the spider bite,
because they said he was an anomaly. The first one, like, he wasn't supposed to happen.
Right.
That's what they tell him.
Yeah.
So shouldn't that have caused his world to shut down and evaporate?
Well, I think if it was considered to be a canon event, but him getting bit by a spider, it may not be a canon event. That makes sense. I don't know what defines a canon event, but it feels
that's what I mean. I think I'm a little confused.
Feels like death is a big part of it. So,
yeah, it seems to be death is the canon event.
Maybe. So I see where you would be asking that question.
Like, if they're like, well, no, if this wasn't supposed to happen, which is like a mess up, like something the TVA would go take care of.
TVA only would take care of it if it led to Kang. Think about that for a second. All right, so those are the main characters. Yeah, I loved seeing 2099. Those were the main spider people. I need to classify these.
2099 was awesome.
2099 was awesome. I first got my first taste of Miguel O'Hara from the Spider-Man is it Dimensions? I think it's
Dimensions.
Where the 4 we get Noir, you get 2099, and the way you would shoot down like huge long elevator shafts. You know?
Yeah. I love his webbing, the way they did his webbing in film too.
Oh yeah, the red, it was so
that
cool.
Red like laser,
yeah, very cool. The main villain, the Spot, voiced by
me.
Jason Schwartzman. At first, I was like, okay, he's gonna be like a side like one of those villains that superhero faces in the beginning of his movie.
Yeah,
it's
like
a sequel, right?
He'll run into him again at a prison break, and it'll be funny, like
yeah. But then
one of those bad guys.
The scene where he turns into the
whatever that is,
whatever that I was legitimately, and the music in this part was fantastic. It was legitimately like a scary feeling.
Yeah, because he starts off as such a jokey guy, which honestly his power is pretty badass.
Seriously,
like he creates little black hole portals that you could just go through and grab. Like it's a hell of a power, and it's just a funny little fight,
right?
And then he loses his spots in the fight, right? Isn't that what happens? Or
he kicks himself into a portal, and in that portal he loses his spots.
That's right. And I like the way he was drawn of how, like, after he lost the spots, you could see, like, the rough stick figure of, like, what an artist would do when they're starting to draw something.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was cool. And then him going in that universe, he starts poking through the portals, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Because he goes into a Lego one.
Yes, the Lego one.
Like, that was awesome. He goes into the Venom world.
The Venom world, and I love how J. Jonah Jameson is voiced by.
He's canon.
Talk about canon like that. I just picture, what's the term that they're the same in every universe? Nexus, a nexus being where they're not different. Like Scarlet Witch is a nexus being; she's the same in every universe.
That's what J. Jonah Jameson.
And J. Jonah Jameson is voiced by J.K. Simmons in every universe. I think that's so funny.
Once that man passes away, they're not allowed to make Spider-Man movie anymore.
Oh gosh,
they have to end it.
Page 1, Spider-Man.
Tomorrow morning, Spider-Man, page 1 with a decent picture this time. Move Conway to page 7.
There's a problem with page 7.
I make it page 8 and give him 10% off. I make it 5%.
That can't be done.
Get out of here.
Then you, if you go back and you look, there's like clues all over. I mean, visual clues, and that's the visual storytelling I was talking about. The way they put in the small little things.
And it's fun because I noticed too when you pay attention. So when he gets back to the machine that can transport you, scans your DNA.
Yeah.
The screen says Earth 42.
It like gives
so
it away.
It tells you right there. He's not going to his Earth because we know they're, I forget what the Earth was called, but they've said it a number of times.
Yeah.
His Earth was numbered.
I think it's 65.
That what it is?
Yeah, I think he's Earth 65. But that's the irony of this whole thing is like, how smart is our audience?
Define irony.
Yeah.
They fooled me. I can tell you that.
Because I saw that and I said to Carson, because I just looked right at Carson, I'm like, oh, the spider DNA's in him. I was like, he's not going to go back to his Earth.
Oh, you had it right away.
Yeah. As soon as I saw
I would
42,
not have guessed Morgan
like,
being the smartest guy on the podcast.
As soon as I saw the 42, I knew. I was like, oh shit, he's going to go to that Earth because it thinks that's what he is.
I missed it. Because I knew that number 1. That's like Miles's number. It's an ode to Jackie Robinson. The number 42. It's Miles's number, right? And if you're on top of your nerdiness at that point, you're not as fooled as I was. I was like, man, what a twist. So
it cemented it for me the second she goes, oh, he changed your hair, and I was like, okay, yeah, we're somewhere else.
And see, I was even like, oh, what did he do? What did he change? But there was like nothing in his room, like there's no
Well, they show you what in New York looks like without Spider-Man. Looks like hell. Things are on fire. You hear sirens everywhere.
Yeah, there's there was the the Sinister Six cartel was running New York.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to see that movie.
Yeah, I want to see that. That'd be cool.
That'd be cool. So the visuals are just, I mean, we saw it in the first Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It was a groundbreaking movie when it came to visuals, and they stepped their game up even more. And we've seen nothing from the Beyond, the next one. Are they? I mean, how can they even step it up more?
I know. I don't know how.
I read today that
showed different Spider-Man.
It took 4 years to create that Spider-Man chase scene.
Oh, I can't even imagine. There's so much in there. I mean, the cowboy guy, he takes the horse, the cat, the real cat with a mask that attacks him, like the T-Rex, when he's like, this can't get any weirder, and then the T-Rex tries to get him. He's like,
which is a great callback to the first one, when he's like, can this get any weirder? And then Peter Parker shows up.
Yeah.
Or how about the T-Rex when he thwips? It's T-whip. Because he's T-whip instead of T-Rex, instead of the thwip.
It's like so like little things like that is just hilarious.
It's so funny. That's the magic of Lord and Miller. These guys came on the scene with the Lego movie, and that was a magical movie. They've then they stepped their game up with Into the Spider-Verse. They also recently did a movie called The Mitchells versus the Machines.
Yep, I love that movie. We watched
freaking love that movie. We only recently watched that and really got into it. Holy cow. The way that they visually tell the story is incredible. They're producers on this one. They weren't the directors this time around, but I think they wrote it. They did write it.
Good.
So
Good.
Yeah, it's right there. Writers: Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, and then they had a guy named Dave Callahan. Joaquim Dos Santos, Kemp Powers, and Justin K. Thompson directed it this time around.
Still done fantastically well.
Yeah, I mean they'll get more work for sure. They didn't let us down with this movie.
Mm-mm.
It maybe could have been a little better paced. I don't know. There was some maybe at 2 hours. Could have had an ending.
Especially 2 hours.
2 hours
no
and 20
ending.
minutes with no ending. Daniel
and no credit scene.
and no credit scene. Yeah, I thought that was weird. A weird choice.
Because I googled while the credits started, I googled credit scene, and it said there was nothing, and I was like, oh, that's weird.
I think I was like that morning when I was buying the tickets. I was online and I saw some comments about no post credit scene. I was like, Daniel Pemberton, he composed the score for this movie. If there was something better than the visuals, it's the music in this movie, whether it's the real music that they add into the movie or the music that is composed.
Interesting, because I was gonna say I felt like the soundtrack was weaker in this one.
Really?
Not the composed part. I loved that because it's still.
I agree with what you're about to say. I agree.
But the hits,
the hits were better last time.
I wasn't bopping as much,
Sunflower is such a bop, though. It's hard to beat that.
Well, and it's funny because when it opens, when we see Miles laying there and the portal opens, I looked at Carson and I said, "Oh, I thought he was singing Sunflower at this part."
They definitely changed that
because that's what he was in the movie, singing Sunflower. They changed it, but it was such a bop,
It really was.
But I mean, that soundtrack was on repeat. Me and my son love it. That's a good soundtrack because of that music.
It's a great soundtrack, and both from both movies, just incredible job. He's actually he's been a busy composer lately. Some of his credits: The After Party, which is a TV series on Apple Plus. Eric's seen it and loved it. He did the Enola Holmes series, which are wonderfully scored. Birds of Prey, and then he did the Ocean's 8 movie with Sandra Bullock, Black Mirror, Molly's Game. That was really The Man from U.N.C.L.E. That was the other one. So
he does good stuff. I love
he
that
does great
they had
stuff.
the Prowler music when we saw the Prowler.
Yes.
Like that. He brought that back. I was like, oh, it's perfect. It almost like they all have their own little music. Each character.
They all have their own visual cue and audio cue.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool. All right, side characters. Rio Morales is Miles' mother's name. Rio, how is that not drilled into my head after the video game? When you hear Rio, you hear Rio all the time. All right, so Rio Morales, the mom, and then the actress that voices her, Luna Lauren Velez. Again, sorry for my pronunciation, but Brian Tyree Henry does voice Jeff Morales. And you know him from Eternals. He was the engineer guy who could create anything. He's just a really good character.
Yeah.
But Rio the mom, she's a quiet MVP of this movie.
Oh yeah, I mean she's a perfect mom. She does a great mom. You know what I mean? She's great. The way she does it, the way she acts, when she hears he's got a B in Spanish, and
oh yeah,
that's hilarious. I love how the dad's like, oh, but just no, I think she's great. And then the moments where she has her touching conversations with Miles, it's great. And then to see her play that other, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
with Spider-Man, and Uncle Aaron's giving her money, and it's You know, like she just is completely different. Like I think she did a great job.
She did a great job. I will say the scene where Jeff Morales is talking to Miles, but Miles, you know, he doesn't know he's talking to Miles, and Miles has to like do the "thank you for your bravery," you know, voice.
Hey, how's your son doing?
Yeah, how's your son doing?
Yeah,
it's so funny.
That
that was a really heartfelt moment between father and son, and really, at that point I should have been like, "Oh, Jeff is done." You know,
I know. That's what I was like. He's done. It's
good side characters there. Then you had kind of the second tier Spider-Man characters, or I should say Spider-Woman. So you had Spider-Woman again, voiced by Issa Rae. Good to finally see a Jessica Drew on screen, but she did nothing in this movie.
I don't know why they made her like 8 months pregnant.
Yeah, and I have a massive gripe about that as well. Like, there's just no reason. I get
it just
in the
seems
comics
weird,
they
right?
have she gets pregnant in the comics. Like, there's a story about that.
So we think that's what it is. Like, they're just it just seems weird.
Doesn't mean that like that's something that needs to be adapted. You know, this is
right.
It's just
especially because like we don't really know her. Like like I don't care that she's having a kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, 'cause
It's
I
just a
don't know her.
weird
Like,
choice. You know, it's a weird choice. It didn't feel like it enhanced her character. Like she made decisions because she was pregnant, or you know. It was a weird choice.
She didn't like pull back from fights because she didn't want to get hurt. You know, like it was just like
like, oh, I can't go on this mission. I'm about to push this baby out. So that was a bit of a letdown. Good to see the red and the gold on screen of Jessica Drew.
I was a big fan of the punk rock.
Oh yes. Okay. So Hobie, right?
Yeah. His art style was really cool.
Daniel Kaluuya voices him, and he was like 12 frames per second when it's normally 24 frames per second. So it's got that like jilted look to it, and it was so cool. Such a great choice on all levels. The way it just like embodies this 80s punk rock anarchist from Britain, you know, like
when you see him without the mask on, even I was like, man, he still look cool. Like,
he's like, how are you cooler with the mask off? Yeah. So great job by Daniel Kaluuya, who, you know, I'm expecting big things from him in the beyond the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, he was a big part of this. He gave Gwen a bracelet so she could.
And then he joins the team.
Travel.
Joins the team at the end too. You know, he's kind of like the Spider-Man noir of this movie, where Spider-Man noir was like the kind of the extra Spider guy who had a lot of great whenever he was on screen, you loved whatever he was saying or doing, and he was really great. So I'd give Hobie Brown the Spider-Punk.
He was good.
Quiet MVP.
Really then we have Ben Reilly. I wasn't expecting him to be as
when he was crying at
when
he
you first see him and he's just like and he's so moody and like
and then when he shows up later,
Peter Parker. When he's there, he's like, there's a wall, but it's normal. There's something in front of me. It's like, it was just perfect. It was like, that is it.
It's
like,
sad that a lot of people won't understand that.
I know. Yeah.
It's such that character. He's a clone of Peter Parker, and if you've seen the movie Multiplicity, that kind of explains it.
She touched my peppy, Steve.
Yeah. There we go.
Cloning's not a good thing. All right, so you know, you had Uncle Aaron show up at the end, so he wasn't really a big part of it. But you also had George Stacy, which I could not figure out the voice actor. It was one of those where I was like,
who was it?
His name is Shea Wiggum.
Chief Wiggum.
Chief Wiggum. I trying to
anything like him.
I'm trying to. Six's father in The Gray Man. Oh yeah, okay. Remember in The Gray Man? It's such a small role.
I was like, I don't remember.
He's a guy.
At all.
I'm gonna throw up a picture of him on here so you guys can see it. What'd
you say it was? Chris Wiggum?
Shea Wiggum. Shea. Almost spelled something right. Anyway, I'll move on while you're looking at it. You're gonna be like, oh yeah,
that guy.
I was in the movie theater kicking myself because I could not figure it out.
Oh man.
Jack Quaid from The Boys had a small role. He voiced the Peter Parker that dies in Gwen's arms.
Oh, the best friend, Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so a little nice little cameo for
Which I thought
Jack
that
Quaid.
was cool when they did that. You get that little that lizard.
I mean that's
cool.
This movie nails Spidey moments time and time again. Like that's perfect Spidey. And you know what's really great about this movie, Morg, is all of the Spideys that you see in the where they all gather.
Yeah.
I think it was 290 total Spider-Men created for this movie, which is insane.
That's insane. The super club that's very hard to get in, as Gwen said to Miles. You gave him the baby pass. The baby pass.
And then what was also great about, you know, when they got to this place, all the spider people that you see, they give you there's so many Easter eggs in this like 10-minute scene. They walk through this area where they show like the actual first Dr. Octopus from the comics as he's a character, he's a villain, right?
Yeah.
And then they
show the video game villains, and you see the video game Spider-Man voiced by the same voice actor,
voiced by Yuri Lowenthal.
Yeah.
But kind of the biggest and best cameo, or I guess I wouldn't say biggest, but maybe the best cameo we saw.
Best
was a live action cameo of Troy and Abed in the morning.
Troy and Abed in the morning.
No, but seriously, Donald Glover's Uncle Aaron from Homecoming.
Yeah,
maybe not that exact same one, but you know, the actor as a variant maybe in one of their jail cells. That was a really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, it was Miles is staring at him, and he's like, "Everyone told you it's not polite to stare." It was just great to see him as the Prowler. We all want it.
Well, ever since that scene in Homecoming, I'll throw it in here.
I don't want those weapons in this neighborhood. I got a nephew who lives here.
And he's like, yeah, I got a nephew who lives in this neighborhood. Like, oh.
Yeah, and this guy's name is Aaron.
Yeah. Well, and Miles was, I think Miles was created because they were going to have Donald Glover. You know,
he voiced him in a cartoon.
He voiced him in a cartoon, yeah.
But the goal was to have him play him in a movie, live action, but then it didn't happen. Now he's a little too old for it. But,
right.
But now he can be Uncle Aaron.
And it was just one of those cameos where you're like, shit, that's Donald Glover.
Yeah, so, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Really, really cool. Really cool.
Even my son was like, the guy from Community. I was like, yeah, that's him.
Yeah. Dude, love Troy and Abed in the morning.
Troy and Abed in the morning. Nice.
Yeah. So really, that, you know, cameos are one of the hot things in movies right now, and when a movie does a cameo right, it's magical. So they did that one right because it was so subtle. You know, it wasn't like, look at this cameo. So
yeah.
It was really great. Loved it. All right. So what's next? Where does this movie lead to? What are we going to get out of Beyond?
An ending.
we're going to actually get an ending.
But see, that's the thing. Like, I don't know, because I feel like they can't have a whole nother movie left. You know what I mean? Like, with how far we got, like, I just can't imagine there being a whole hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever they make it. Like, I just can't imagine what is left, because I mean, we got to have our big confrontation with the Spot.
Yep.
Does the dad get saved or not?
Right.
You know, we got to figure that out. I guess that's the two big. Oh, and how he gets back, or is he going to get out of Earth 42?
Yeah.
With Miles Morales, the Prowler.
It's going to be. Gosh, I
feel like a good chunk of it's going to be him on Earth 42.
Yeah, he's gonna. And
I don't like the idea of that.
Oh, really? I think it'll be interesting to see him going up against a Miles that's the Prowler and see how that plays out. But I hope it doesn't do is I hope it doesn't go. This is nothing against in-game. I hope it doesn't go the in-game way where it's like a heist to save Miles, and then it's all the Spider-Man teaming up against the Spot. You know, I hope that's not what it is.
Then like Gwen's getting attacked, and like I don't know how you're gonna get through all that.
Yeah, I mean,
and then all the other Spider Women are gonna go, she's not alone.
Yeah, so it's gonna be. I hope it's not something cheesy like that.
No, I think they'll do a good job with it. Like, it would be really cool to see some sort of ultimate showdown where we need all the Spider-Men to take on like Spot, you know, or whatever it is. Like he's projecting himself in multiple universes and they all have to like come at him at the same time. So he can't like, you know, like just something cool. So we get a little bit of like, oh, we got the whole universe go, you know, all the Spideys fighting. And it'd just be quick little, like, you see the real cat one, the T-Rex eating one, you know, or something like that. Like that would be cool.
That would be cool. But I do hope they keep it more like Miles focused.
Yeah. Like really heavy focus on Miles, but like occasionally be like, take a look around, you see like, or in the background, you see like the T-Rex fighting, you know.
A lot of thwipping around.
It'd be a lot of thwipping.
A lot of thwipping. Whip it good. Beyond the Spider-Verse is going to be a big movie. I mean, this one is already as big as it gets in animation. However, maybe they go a little bit smaller, you know, personal story and beyond.
You know
Who knows?
How it's doing?
How
projection? Like how it did for opening weekend?
I saw something today was at 221 million worldwide. So in its first 5 days of release, not bad. It's probably gonna end in the 750 to 800 range, I'd say.
Yeah,
it has a shot at $1 billion. I don't know. Here's something fun that I saw today. They should switch the titles of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse with No Way Home, and Tom Holland's movie should be Spider-Man.
It would make more sense.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, or even Into the Spider-Verse, and then this one should have been No Way Home.
Yeah, No Way Home.
Because he's got No Way Home. All right, final grade. Where do you grade this movie? What's your grade, Morgan?
From like A to F. We're talking like school.
One to 10.
Oh, now we're doing numbers.
If you want to give out A's, B's, C's, D's, or F's, you can.
I'm giving it right now an 8. It would be higher if it had a conclusion to it.
Okay.
I gotta hold that against it. I can't.
I know you do.
Hold that against
you
it.
really do.
It's just like because it just would have been such a if it just had some sort of conclusion.
I mean, I get it. I get that from that perspective of like you didn't know it was like gonna be a cliffhanger. Yeah, that would throw you, and it'd be like, what the heck?
Especially because it's like those cliffhangers work with a show because you're gonna get an answer in a week.
Yeah.
Where it just stops out of nowhere to be continued. Where this, it's like, thankfully we don't have to wait a full year, but it's still like, you know, we got to wait some months.
There's a show called Lost that does cliffhangers really well, episode to episode, season to season. That you should probably check out sometime.
You know what this cliffhanger reminded me of too?
What?
The Walking Dead season 5 or 6. The whole Negan kills the person, but we don't see who it is.
Oh yeah, I do
remember that.
I mean, I didn't see it, but I remembered. Yeah, I remember.
Everybody was just so like because it just ended. You're like, well, we're not gonna see. We gotta wait. How long?
I thought this was a great cliffhanger. I mean, even looking at it from the perspective of like, okay, you weren't expecting a cliffhanger, but you have one now, and you see that it was building up, and then it left you like, you know, no.
Yeah, no, I think my score is going to change once the next one releases.
And it would be okay to change it because it is one story being told in 2 different movies. So it's an incomplete grade right now. After kind of thinking about it a little bit more and talking to you, and I think I had it at like a 9.5, maybe close to 9.8. As most movies do, that comes down over time.
Right. Once you start to really think and get out of that post, like
I'm pretty sure I walked out of like 3 movies in my life angry. Other than that, I've been like, yeah, it was great, and then I'm like thinking about it. So
can't wait for that. That's not clarity, and then it's like
I will give out I'm gonna put a 9er on this one.
Did I catch a 9er in there?
Okay. So you're saying it would have been a 9.8, you think, if it had like a conclusion? Well, I know, like, because you were thinking at first a 9.8, now you're like, yeah, so probably.
No,
like
because I still like, I just am, you know, I can see other people's perspectives on that.
Gotcha.
So I won't hold it against my grade, but there's other things that, you know, there was some gripes for me in there, and we talked about them. So I'll keep it at a 9er.
Did I catch a 9er in there?
Cool.
Yeah. I can find that.
Well, we want to thank everybody for tuning in here on the Nerd Rundown Presents. A lot of new people to the channel. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss a show that we release. We release our shows at different times throughout the week, so don't want to miss anything. These Nerd Rundown Presents, where we dive into one topic. We review movies like this. We'll talk some other nerdy stuff. You know, we did a whole episode around movie quotes and, you know, made a game out of it. So welcome to the Nerd Rundown Presents. This is one of our really, really fun shows that we do. And Morg, thanks for being one of the only ones who's seen this movie so I could talk about it.
I know. More people need to see it. Let's go. I know Brett King's dying to see it.
Brett, we're going to have a talk. I will tell you that. And I'm on Morgan's side on this, Brett. So go see this movie. It's a 9er for me.
Did I catch a 9er in there?
8? What'd you say? 8? 8. An 8?
An 8 dog.
An 8 for Morg.
Wonderkin.
With room for improvement.
Yes. I feel that will change once the next one's out.
Well, maybe even when Spider-Man 2 comes out and you get to play as Miles again, and you kind of...
I can't wait.
Cannot wait.
That's so good.
That's the next big canon event for us. Is the Spider-Man 2 game. Jedi Survivor's been great. Spider-Man. I wondered for a long time, was I going to be more excited about Jedi or Spider-Man? Spider-Man. Yeah. A lot of it has to do with this movie. It was great to see all these Spider. It was great to see this love story to Spider-Man.
Wait! I love you guys.
So Morgan, with that being said, we'll see you all in the next Nerd Rundown Presents.
Deuces.